I'm just happy that the sun's out this morning. It's been gray here for about 2 months now. We are going to be talking about wishing that we had more and attracting all the things that we want. So if that is something that interests you, definitely stay and listen. We're going to be reading from a few books today, but I always start out first with a story about manifestation or attracting things to you, whatever word that you want to use. And what I've realized is when we call our power back to ourselves, we're able to manifest things effortlessly. What does that mean exactly? I know people that are calling power back to themselves that are getting their power back from other people. There's a lot of times we'll do things for someone over and over again. We'll allow our boss to walk all over us. We'll allow people to do things to us that are not favorable to our life and the things that we actually want, but it just becomes a habit in life. Maybe you're a caretaker. Maybe you're a person that just doesn't really have a backbone. And maybe there's one day that you finally stand up and say, I'm going to take my power back. And I'm not going to allow a person or, whatever situation to do X, Y, and Z to me. That's taking your power back. That's going to help you manifest the things that you want. But what about when you want to manifest things and you are the person that wants to take their power back from themselves? What the hell does that mean? Many of us, if not majority of us, have given our power away to our lower selves. What's our lower selves? Our ego. If you have given your power away to your lower ego or your lower self, your ego, you're always going to be disempowered by your own self than to be able to operate from your higher self that's giving you the information from God, creator, universe, source, whatever you want to call that energy. So when you want to, is this how to manifest a Mercedes? It is. It's always about how to manifest a Mercedes. Because if you can manifest a Mercedes, you can manifest anything. So taking your power back from your lower self to your higher self. Many people are taking their power back from family members or a spouse or a boss or something like that in your life. You've been disempowered your whole life. You don't have a voice. You don't have a backbone. You just always do things for people. Hi. But if you are a person that your ego has been in the driver's seat and your ego is manifesting for you, it's never going to be the things that you want. Because the ego is there to protect. The ego is there to say, you're not doing that. The ego is there to say, send that text message. The ego is there to say, this person's going to hurt you. That is operating from the lower self. So in order to manifest all the greatest things that you actually desire, you have to be operating from your highest self. And we have to learn how to decipher what is, I don't know what my next retreat is. I'm actually working on locations right now. But I will let you know as soon as I know. I'm trying to find a really magical place. But if you want to call in things and we're operating from the lower self, you're gonna call in the things that live on the lower density of vibration. When we're saying things that hurt other people, that's the ego, that's the lower self. When we're doing things out of kindness and out of love, that's coming from the higher self. But unfortunately, the majority of us live from the ego space. You make decisions from your ego space. You're not making decisions from the higher self of you, which is your God self. So when in the manifestation world, they talk about, Neville especially talks about that we are all gods. When people of religious background hear that, they think that that is horrendous and it's blasphemous and it's all these things because they don't really understand what that concept means, that when you say, ye are all gods. We are all gods. Do you know why we're all gods? Because nobody comes down here and holds your hands and say, okay, let's make this decision. Let's go and do this. Let's go and do that in your life. Except for your parents when you're little or your caretakers. But in life, there is no one that is holding your hand to guide you. When people pray, we're praying to our higher self. Our higher self is our God self. So a lot of times people will hear when people will speak about that we are all gods. It's because we are, and not because we're gods in the superior sense. It's that we are gods in the sense that we are able to do and make happen anything that we want. God is assisting in that. So all of us are gods. And when people hear this that have a very strong religious background, lose their minds. But the reality is, and you have to think about this, is that religion was something that was taught to us. I posted a quote the other day in my story about Alan Watts, and he said Jesus figured out that we were all gods and they crucified him for it. Because Jesus was going around teaching people their power. And that's the last thing that these powers that be in this realm want, is for people to understand that they are all gods. We get to partake in the divine. I do think it's a little different than actually being a god. And everybody has their own interpretation of that, right? What I'm saying is that what we've learned, we're indoctrinated to know or think or believe, is that religion, God, is something that is outside of ourselves. God is a very personal, internal relationship. So to look at it as something you have to go to church, you have to confess your sins and all these things. That's something that you do between you and the Creator. So it's not an outside thing. It's a very internal thing. So to be able to call in the things that you want, you're praying that to yourself, to your God self. And that energy is going to the greater source somewhere else. So what I'm saying is, in order to be able to have the things that you want, we have to operate from the higher self and not the ego self. The ego self is what ruins things. The ego self is what protects. And if you always need to be protected from something, you're going to manifest more scenarios that you need to be protected from. Hello, how we doing? So, Neville Goddard Complete Collection. The Big Guns. All things are possible. I don't know which book this is from. It is of great significance that the truth of the principles outlined in this book have been proven time and time again by the personal experiences of the author. Throughout the past 25 years, he has applied these principles, and this is an old book, and proved them successful in innumerable instances. He attributes to an unwavering assumption of his wish already being fulfilled every success that he has achieved. So if you are new here, or if you've never seen these lives, we talk about the law of assumption. The law of assumption is assuming that which you want to be true. Assuming that it's already done. Easier said than done. But when we continue to use our affirmations, when we continue to visualize things, some of us can even just think about it once and then it comes to pass, it manifests, because we just don't even worry about it. When the worry comes into manifestation and thought, that is when we delay our manifestations. When we're asking, well, how could this possibly happen? All of these things need to move in order for this one thing to happen. That's not possible. We delay. We delay our manifestations by believing that we can't have things. But the second we believe, feeling is the secret. When you believe something, you feel it. You just already know it. It's a knowingness. So when you feel something or you believe something to be true, it manifests faster than the person that says their affirmations a million times and then says, well, where is it? I don't have it yet. This one guy I was watching, he's really big in the network marketing world, and I posted it in our Telegram group last night. He said, I thought about my manifestation of becoming a millionaire for 10 years. 10 years. And he finally became a millionaire. In those 10 years, what was holding him back from having it sooner? He probably didn't believe that it was necessarily going to happen, or he believed it, but then at the end of the day, he's like, well, why is this taking so long? And what's, how's this going to be? Doubting the process. So this guy, for 10 years, he said every night before I went to sleep, I would visualize what it was like to be a multimillionaire. And it took him 10 years to get it. So all of our manifestations don't happen when we want them to and on our timeline. It doesn't work like that. It works in divine timing. But can you get things faster? It's our Telegram for our for X39 group. But if you want it, guys, just send me a DM and I'll send you the link to it. So the law of assumption is assuming that which we want to be true. And this guy was talking about, he was assuming it over and over again until he actually had it. You can do that with anything and all things. There's some things that I am calling into my existence that is not here yet. There's delays in there. There's me thinking, oh, I'm so annoyed. Why hasn't this happened yet? But the more we do this work and the more we understand how it works, the easier it's going to be for us to call in the things that we truly want. So he was confident that by these fixed assumptions, his desires were predestined to be fulfilled. Time and again, he assumed the feeling of his wish fulfilled and continued in his assumption until that which he desired was completely realized in the 3D world. Live your life in a sublime spirit of confidence and determination. Disregard appearances, conditions. In fact, all evidence of your senses that deny the fulfillment of your desire. So he's saying, just because you don't see it in this reality, just because you can't feel it yet, just because you can't see it yet, just because you can't smell it yet, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. You have to persist. And we can get tripped up in this a lot. Persist in what it is in your mind that you want so that you will see it in your reality. And again, it might not happen in the first month, 2 months, 8 months, year. This guy manifested something for 10 years, but he was probably and most likely in his own way, and it didn't come sooner. Maybe he didn't take certain opportunities. He didn't take that inspired action that he should have to be able to get closer to being a multi-millionaire, right? Being annoyed is revealing your weakness. It sure is, because it means that you don't have faith in what it is that you desire or want to call in. And we all get that. We all get frustrated. But once you realize how powerful you actually are, you get less frustrated and things happen faster. It's because you haven't shed negative beliefs about yourself, still might need healing to receive. Yes. Healing to receive. That healing to receive is forgiving yourself. That healing to receive is forgiving other people. Because when we don't have room for new things to come in, it's like your closet is completely at capacity. You have no room for another thing in your closet. You still buy something, you still shove it in there. And there's no room whatsoever. That the closet is just a mess all the time. Right? That's like us. Or if you're eating at a restaurant and you keep eating and you keep eating and you keep eating until you make yourself sick. There's no room for anything else in there. Just maybe you want a dessert, but you didn't leave any room for a dessert. So when you have these stuck energies in your body, when you have so many things to forgive yourself or heal, there isn't room for those beautiful things that you want to bring in. There's only room for the things that you're allowing yourself to have room for. If you keep eating and eating and eating this spaghetti, but I want a dessert and now I can't eat it. It's the same thing. If you have these stuck energies in your body and you want to have room for this new dream house, this new life, but you still have all these old thought patterns and processes stuck in your system, how are you going to make room for something new to come in? You can't. You can't unless you start affirming something different. If you keep eating the same thought over and over again, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy. How do you think that you're going to call in having a beautiful house or having a great relationship or having the things that you want? If all that you keep eating, mentally eating, is I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. It's never going to happen for me. You can't have room for dessert. You can't have room for what it is that you truly want. Oh, I was dying to have that chocolate cake, but now you ate too much spaghetti and you can't have it. It's like you keep feeding yourself the same thought over and over again, the negative thought, the negative loop, and expecting yourself to be able to make room for dessert. And that dessert is the real desire that you truly want. I can promise you that it's not going to happen. And why it's not going to happen is because everything is energy. So if all you have is energy for negativity and negative thoughts, you're not going to have room for energy that's great. I hope that makes sense. Live your life in a sublime spirit of confidence and determination. Disregard appearances, conditions. In fact, all evidence of your senses that deny. Okay, we said this. Rest in the assumption that you are already what you want to be. For in that determined assumption, you and your infinite being are merged in creative unity, and with your infinite being, God, all things are possible. God never fails. God never fails. The only failure that happens in this reality is the failure that we draw to us through energy. God never fails. So if God never fails, then why do bad things happen? If God never fails, then why do we not have the exact life that we want? Because we have free will here. Our free will allows us to think negatively. Our free will allows us to have a low vibration. That is all up to us to have a higher vibrational life or to have a different type of energy so that we can attract all the things that we want. God never fails. What is happening is our energy is failing ourselves. The energy that we have every single day is failing ourselves. It is not God. God, why are you doing this to me? It is not God doing that to you. It is your own energy and frequency that you live and vibrate on that is only attracting the same things that are like you. When we put the responsibility on ourselves, and that responsibility is not on God, that responsibility is not on the other person, then who does that leave to blame for your life and the way that it looks? You. Not anybody else. Why is God doing this to me? You know how many times I've heard people in my life say that? Why is God doing this to me? And it's usually the people that really live in a state of perpetual negativity. People that tend to have the outlook on life that bad things always happen. Life is not great. Life is so hard. Why can't I have that? People that live in jealousy. People that live, again, on the map of consciousness, these lower energies, the guilt, fear, anger, rage, apathy. How do you encourage the feminine to heal from deep sense of shame? Shame is the very lowest frequency on earth recorded. Shame is the lowest frequency on earth that was recorded. And a lot of people live in a state of shame. How do you encourage people to change that? Theta healing is amazing. Hypnosis is amazing. Start doing affirmations. Start writing down your desires. Start writing down the opposite of shame. Put a reminder on your phone all the time, every hour, every 30 minutes if you need that reminder. So all of these things, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's shame or it's guilt or it's sadness or anything that it is. All of these feelings are able to be assumed the opposite. They're able to be assumed into your reality as the opposite. And when they're assumed as the opposite, let's say that you have, guilt for something. You have to say the opposite of whatever it is that you feel guilt for. I did the absolute best I could, and I'm a loving and encouraging human being. whatever it is that you think about yourself. I'm so lonely. Someone said on Friday, I think it was, I am lonely. Like that was their I am, right? So the opposite of I am lonely is I am in such fulfilling relationships. Everyone loves to be in my company. And we affirm that over and over again. It's reprogramming the mind with different ideas. That's all that it is. I gave this example before. It's like our mind is like a roll of film. Whatever we record on that roll of film is projected onto the screen of life, which is our reality here. If you are filming or taking pictures with a camera that has actual film in it, and you take a mental picture of all the things that you're thinking, I am lonely. What does that picture look like? Maybe it looks like you sitting somewhere on a bench by yourself. You are taking that picture and you are putting it on film. When you go to develop those photos, there's not going to be a picture of you sitting there with people around you. It's going to be the mental idea that you have. So if all day long you're thinking about how lonely you are, when you play that roll of film that you recorded on, you can only see exactly what you've been thinking. I'm so lonely. I don't have anybody. It's so hard. And on that roll of film, when you press play, that play is what's playing in your 3D reality. So if in your mind, you are picturing the opposite of that, of how you have so much life in your life, you have so much joy in your life, there's so many people that love to be around you, and you continue to have that mental picture, eventually it has to play out on the screen of your life, because that's just the way it works. In the movie business, you use film. The only thing that can be on that roll of film is what you actually tape through the camera. Our mind, again, is the film roll. We are constantly putting things on that film roll. We are imprinting things on that film roll. And eventually it has to play out in your 3D reality. Our reality right this minute is a result of past thinking. So when you start to change your mindset, when you start to shift from different things, your reality has to catch up to that. As long as you're thinking those things over and over again, and you're not going back to your old habits. It has to play out that way. So if you look at life that way, as a film roll, everything that you film in your mind has to play out in your reality. When you start to shift, your reality will start to shift. Because that's the only thing that's on your film roll. If you don't have any of the old thoughts on your film roll anymore, you can't possibly develop that film. So the old story can't show up in your movie. It's not in the script anymore. Hope that makes sense. Through the mastery of your assumptions, you are in very truth enabled to master life. It is thus that the ladder of life is ascended. Thus the ideal is realized. The clue to the real purpose of life is to surrender yourself to your ideal with such awareness of its reality that you begin to live the life of the ideal, and no longer your own life as it was prior to this surrender. So that's kind of just what I said in different words. He calleth things that are not seen as though they were, and the unseen becomes seen. This is Romans 4:17, approximately, apparently. He calleth things that are not seen as though they were. So again, we're thinking of things that are not seen in this reality, and we're thinking of them as though they were, as though they have already happened. And the unseen, this is the unseen, becomes seen out here. There's so many things in the Bible that point to our mind being the blueprint for our reality. Again, he calleth things that are not yet seen. You're thinking about things in your mind as though they were. You're living them in your mind as if they're already real. And the unseen becomes seen. Each assumption has its corresponding world. If you are truly observant, you will notice the power of your assumptions to change circumstances which appear wholly immutable. That is faith, being the substance of things unseen. Exactly. They say walk by faith, not by sight. Walk by the faith that it's going to happen for you, not by the sight that it's already there. Right? You, by your conscious assumptions, determine the nature of the world in which you live. Again, by your conscious assumptions, you determine the nature of the world in which you live. Ignore the present state. Ignore the things that you don't like that are happening right now. And assume the wish fulfilled. Just keep assuming it. See it in your mind over and over again. I've manifested things, and I manifested things like 3 or 4 years ago that are actually happening now because I completely forgot about them and they weren't even important to me anymore. But because I impressed them in my subconscious mind so much, they eventually had to play out. And they are now, and I don't even want those things anymore. So you ignore the present state and assume the wish fulfilled. Claim it. It will respond. Because it doesn't have a choice. It has to respond. It has to play out. If you start assuming things that you want every single day, that you have this brand new car, you have this amazing new life, whatever it is, and you see it every single day, right before you go to sleep, as you're falling asleep, you see it and you visualize it every single day, eventually you will have that in your reality. My nephew manifested going to the Super Bowl in less than a week. I think it was maybe 5 days. And he said to me, I knew I was going. He was supposed to go. It fell through. But he said, I knew I was going. I knew I was going to the Super Bowl. And surely enough, this kid, who's 20 years old, he went to the Super Bowl twice for the Eagles. He manifested it in less than a week. When you have this desire that burns inside of you that you're like, this is mine. This is mine. You take possession of this thought and you say, it's easy for me. I got this. It will happen so much faster. And you don't let anyone talk you out of, you're crazy. You can't open a business now. Oh, the housing market is horrible. You're never going to get a deal. You don't allow anyone to mess with your end. That's why you shouldn't tell people what you're manifesting, because you don't want anybody's energy in your shit. It's better to keep it to yourself unless it's a person that is in agreement with you. Like I have a mastermind group on Fridays with some of my LifeWave people. And my sister led the group last week, and it was all about being in agreement with certain things. Are we all in agreement that we are going to get to this rank in the company? Are we all in agreement that we're going to make X amount of dollars? Those are the way that you manifest with people that are in agreement, that they're on the same trajectory, energy, frequency as you. I don't even want those things anymore. Kudos to you. That's proof when we have grown. Exactly. I think I missed something. Seeing doom in your future is having faith in doom. 100%, Ben. I literally just read Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. No coincidence, Jewel. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Perfect timing. Love, love, love it. Okay, that was amazing. Every moment of your life, consciously or unconsciously, you are assuming a feeling. I'm sorry to say, but that's true. Every moment, whether you're conscious of it or you're not, you're assuming a feeling. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, you are assuming a feeling, and that is what manifests your reality. You can no more avoid assuming a feeling than you can avoid eating and drinking. All you can do is control the nature of your assumptions. Thus, it is clearly seen that the control of your assumption is the key you now hold to an ever-expanding, happier, more noble life. You know when they say, like, oh, there's such a thin line between love and hate? And that could be so incredibly true, or is so incredibly true, for people who understand this type of work. Maybe you've gotten this biggest fight with someone, and the line between love and hate is what your assumptions are about that scenario. This person's never going to talk to me again. It's over. Oh my God, I can't believe this. I'm so devastated, blah, blah, blah. And you live in that guilt and that sadness and depression for maybe a long time or years to come. Or you assume everything's going to blow over and things are going to be fine and everything is going to be absolutely amazing, better than it ever was. And you live in that assumption. That is a thin line between love and hate mentally in your subconscious mind. Because you can make things change instantly. Maybe instantly is a couple days, maybe instantly is a couple weeks, maybe instantly is a couple months, and all of a sudden, person comes around again. Things start to shift. Maybe they send you a text. Maybe you send them a text and they answer back to you. They wouldn't answer you before, whatever it is. Thin line between love and hate can be based on your assumptions about the scenario. That's Neville today. That is Neville Goddard today. Does anybody have any questions? I never do Q&As. Sometimes you guys will ask and I'll answer questions. But does anybody have any questions about things that we have been talking about and learning? I'm drinking my cellar dries. This actually enhances the patches as if they don't already work good enough. This has copper in it. This has all different things. Magnesium, NaC, NAD, NaC, yes. I don't know if there's NAD in it. Actually, I might have made that up. But there's all kinds of different things. I'm reading from Neville Goddard, The Complete Collection, and I don't know which book it was within that book. Mary, you have it too. Do we have any other questions? Or not? I never ask if anybody has questions or not. Great stuff this morning. I found for myself and clients that our story, the abuse, mistreatment, etc. from others in our past can be a powerful author of our subconscious, which needs... Where's the rest of your thing? I can't see. I can't see the rest of your quote. I mean, not your quote, your comment. I'm dealing with a lot of self-hate. What's something I could tell myself to help deal with this? Self-hate. I love myself in every single step I take. I am loved in all things. Everything I do is amazing. These are little things like that that can literally change things for you. Literally put in a reminder on your phone every 30 minutes or every hour, every 10 minutes, whatever it is, a different affirmation. Like you just look up affirmations for self-hate. And you'll see all these affirmations. Maybe one resonates with you more than another. And you just continue to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And you're going to have days where you struggle with yourself. You're going to have days where things are just not going to be good. You're going to have bad days. It's human to have bad days, right? But when we're doing this kind of work and we start to make the shift, it's easier for us to get out of the self-hate, to get out of the self-loathing or the guilt or the shame or whatever. Because your mind actually starts to shift. So it becomes less and less that you have these feelings. I start at 9:30 every Monday and Friday. Editing because it overrides our intentions. So we need to write our stories to fully process them. Then we can see it isn't real. Then we burn it. Okay, so you're saying write down your story, whatever your story is. Write it down so that you can see it. Because a lot of times we really can't see our own shit. And that's the truth. Like there might be something that's bothering us for years and we don't even know what it is that's bothering us. Maybe we just have rage, we just have anger. But like, where is it coming from? And it's just continue to ask yourself questions. Ask yourself another question. Ask yourself another question that leads to another question to find out what your story actually is. And what he's saying is write down that story. And then when you read it back to yourself, you're like, this is it. This is what's been really plaguing me this whole time. It might be something very insignificant that became just magnified in your life. Or it was something very significant that you just can't let go of and you just can't override that thought. But once you identify it, that brings your awareness to it. And once we have awareness of what we're thinking or why we're thinking that way, that's how we start to change it. And it's a process. It is a process. So if you are doing well with this and all of a sudden like you realize that you're back into your negative spiral again, your mind, your subconscious mind it's so deeply ingrained in your programming that it just fights you to come back. Until one day it just doesn't bother you anymore. Until one day it loses power. Until one day that thought loses its power. And that's when you realize how much change has happened. Mama, look at the wounds, experiences that led to feel that way and have compassion and forgive yourself for it. I'm sorry you're going through that. It will get better. Thank you, Alex, for saying that to Lulu Bell. We have the ability to edit every story. And you know why we have the ability to edit every story? Because we are the writer, we are the director, and we should be the star of this movie. Not someone else. You don't put people on pedestals. You should be the star of your own movie. You are the writer, you are the director, you are the actor, you're the producer. So if you don't like the way that your reality is, you have to rewrite the script. And only you can do it. Nobody else can do it for you. No one can do it for me. There are some days where I spiral. Then I'm like, you're creating your reality again. Remember? Not for the good. Then when things are going really great, I'm like, oh, I did that. It's like, no shit. So we all need the reminders that we are here to write our own story, that we're here to direct our own story, that we are the person with the pen or the pencil with the eraser. When people dump crap on your porch, forgive them, grab a pressure washer and do away with it. Takes practice, but you learn to react automatically after a short time. When you shift your mind, everything else changes because it has to. These are the laws of the universe. You can't change and be positive and like, it's not even about positivity. It's just changing the programming because you don't have to be positive to manifest. Does it manifest faster if you're in a higher vibration? Sure. But you don't have to be positive or happy or even nice to manifest. You don't. That's the truth. It's all about what you believe. How many people do you know that have everything and like they have this amazing, great life? Maybe they're not nice people. But they just believe like I'm owed everything and the world gives me whatever I want. And they get it. It's just a belief. It's just what they see in their mind. Like life is easy. Like I get everything easily. You could just think that thought and then things just start to come to you because you believe that that's what you're owed in life. This matrix is crazy, but it's magic too. And we're the magic. We're the magic. We're the reason why so many things happen in this world is our collective energy. So if you want to be part of the collective energy that is for the good and just makes change in the world, then you got to work. You got to put in the mental work, no matter how hard it is. Because you can have anything you want very fast or very slow. It depends on you and what you believe to be true. I know people that have everything monetarily, yet they have nothing within themselves. And that's the truth because it's like money's easy to me. Maybe they don't have love in their life. Maybe they don't have joy in their life. Maybe they don't have happiness in their life. They might from the outside look like they have everything. I know people like that too. They literally can have anything that they want and they're still miserable fucks. So that's what they believe. I can have everything, but maybe they don't believe that they're lovable. So just because you might have everything with money, it doesn't mean that you have everything in love, happiness, and whatever else. Observe, don't absorb. Much of the corruption and selfishness is being uncovered. Own your own aspects of darkness and forgive yourself. Let's close on that note. That was beautiful. Thank you, Coach Bob, for saying that. Thank you. Benny says, I'm living my lifelong dream. I am. The I amness. I am living my lifelong dream. And Benny's had so many great things happen for himself. He manifested himself to walk again because he believed that he could. That's it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this and that you have a beautiful day, Monday. And I'll see you this week. If you have questions about this, just send me a DM. And I'm happy to respond. Love you all. Adios.